Okay, everybody, let's give this a try. We're going to talk about the things that I'm looking for in your essays, starting with the introduction. Now, this is normally something that I do with my in-person classes after they've already written the draft, but in kind of getting feedback from Ashley and talking with some of you, emailing some of you, I think maybe it would be helpful to go over this now as you're starting the drafting process. So, let's talk about intros. So in an intro, the idea is first to be brief. So all of these things that we cover in the intro, I do want to see in the rest of the paper, but just as quick as you can, a sentence, two sentences, tell me about these things. So the profession you're profiling, tell me about it and answer these questions. Who are these professionals and what do they do? Where do they practice their profession and what is that place like? Hopefully you get a chance to visit, but even if you don't, try to get details other ways through your interview, maybe through visiting a web page. Just what's the place like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? All of those great sensory details. Why is this profession interesting or worth learning more about? What's the hook? What's going to draw me as a reader into this profile or paper? Then, if you went for an observation, when did that happen? Okay, next, let's talk about your thesis. The most important part of the thesis is having a dominant impression. That is the main idea that you want to convey. Now, I put a couple of sample papers. Oh, sorry, everyone, I think the cat is jealous. Okay, so I put a couple of sample papers up this week, including one, if you look at the link right below this link on Canvas in our module, one that I'm working on, cameo by the cat, one that I'm working on about my brother, who is an ICU doctor and a pulmonologist. And the main idea that I always get whenever I talk to him about what he does is that it is a challenging job. Sometimes when I have students who are struggling with a dominant impression, I say, okay, in one word, if you only had one word, how would you describe this profession? And of course, you can use more than one word. And we have activities this week that are going to help you find that dominant impression. But that's the main focus of your thesis for this paper. The next thing you've got to think about is how you want to organize this essay. You can use a narrative plan, that is, tell it as a story. So first I arrived at the hospital, then I went up to the floor where my brother works. I couldn't go into the ICU, but he met me at the door. We went down to the cafeteria, blah, blah, blah. I tell the whole story. If you use a narrative plan, then all you need is the dominant sentence, but you have to be aware that every detail that you give needs to somehow work to emphasize that dominant impression. Now, if you want to organize the essay topically, then your thesis should have a preview of the topics you'll discuss. And if you want to see an example of that, you can check out the link right below this one where I kind of have broken down a thesis for that paper topically. Okay. So not at the end of this particular activity, but at the end of this week's activities, you should have a thesis statement. Okay, so the body of your essay, and I also kind of covered this. In a narrative plan, you're telling a story. But be sure, this is a trap that a lot of students fall into, that you've got more than just an interview transcript. This person said this, then I asked that, then they said this, then I asked that. No, quote them, that's a requirement, or paraphrase or summarize them. But remember that everything that you choose to put in your essay should emphasize that main idea or dominant impression. And then in a conceptual or topical plan, you're going to have at least one paragraph, but probably more, about each item you say that you're going to be talking about. And as I say, I have a sample of that. So the conclusion. The most important thing is to reemphasize the dominant impression. You could also share your personal feelings and plans, but remember, this focus of this essay shouldn't be you, it should be the profession. Okay, final thing, you need a works cited page. Your works cited page probably is only going to have the interview cited, and this is what that citation looks like. I will be also posting examples to Canvas, and it shouldn't take you more than a few minutes to make a works cited page for this paper. In class, I give students about 5 to 7 minutes to show me if they can put one together. It's pretty straightforward. All right, everyone, hopefully this helps you, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.